who's been a previous ban today so far. Those three might be picked up, but none of them are just sort of those super strong beatdown picks. The exception maybe being the Akali, if one of these teams wants to pick it up, maybe Olaf as well, an off-tank, Amumu, the first full tank jungler that we're going to be seeing today, and it's going to be paired up with that Malphite as well, and I think that's an excellent combo. I think that front line is going to be nigh on unstoppable, almost an unstoppable force, one might say. And you match Malphite up into the Darius in the top lane. I think that's a favorable matchup for the Malphite. Can build that armor, is protected as well from the Wukong. I really like Futbolist draft here.
I really love it, especially Malphite and Mumu. Normally how the engage is going to happen for them is engage onto the Unstoppable Force for Kaglian, then into that going to have Curse of the Sad Mummy for the player Sweest, then one of those two activatable items upon their boot upgrades, which is not going to be great for the side of Game Lord, but they do have some high base mobility, especially with having Azure onto this Ezreal, which Ezreal has not been picked up an insane amount actually in competitive, not compared to the Misfortunes or the Kaisers, so I'm really, really hyped to see how Azure is going to perform on this Ezreal.
With both Kai'Sa and Zarya available, I believe, in this pick, I kind of agree with you. I'm not sure about this Ezreal pick. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I think it's excellent if you have the right team composition around it, and I'm wondering if that's what Game Lords have. They're going to go for an early invade over towards this red side. They're going to leave Darius in that top lane and opt to take away this red buff. The question is, does the side of Futbolist realize this is happening, and do they try and pressure onto the red side themselves?
And they're going to try and collapse onto Kaglian, and with level 1 Brawl Mountain, like, why the hell not? This is amazing. He's so strong in the early game stage. Going to try and proc the passive. Barrier is going to be used up instantly. A very early barrier from Kaglian, which I would not recommend it to use, but you know what, better safe than sorry. He's going to be good, and you can see already that by how these two teams are positioned, Game Lord are pushing bot side, and the side of Futbolist are going to be pushing the top side, especially with a Mumu potentially going to try and collapse with the Corki. So they're trying to trade off turrets and pull off cross-mapping underplay.
Yeah, they have the lane swap coming through, and actually this is going to favor Game Lord, especially if they're able to get stuns and follow-ups like that under turret. Kaglian going very low, but not quite going down. Pegas as well, able to jump on in with the Rakan and keep them safe. But the lane swap, as I said, going in the favor of Game Lords right now. As Futbolists really dropping the ball, I would say, putting that Malphite alone in that bot side. Excellent capitalization from Game Lord with a heads-up invade on the red side.
This is Futbolists just losing their bot tower, and they're not doing anything to respond. They're not trying to find himself a tower in top lane. There's going to be a Akali finally rotating up there, but Eco, especially if there was that grab, can make it really hard to deal with it. There's literally is so hard for them to deal with. I got to say, the management of this early stage by Game Lord has been clinical, and there you go. That's first turret for Game Lord, and they already gave themselves an over 1,000 gold lead in a sheer 1 minute 50 seconds. Yeah, what happened for Futbolist there? They did nothing that entire time.
Well, the opening gambit has gone well for Game Lord right now. The question is, are they able to use this position to their advantage? They have not got a kill just yet. They nearly managed to get first blood, but they've got a 1.3k gold lead. And this early on, that is absolutely huge. With the backs having just come through as well, that's going to give Ezreal the tier starting to stack. You've got the serrated Dirk for the Wukong as well. You can get some of those items onto the rest of them. Darius yet to go back, but he's just been chunking up gold this whole time. You can see his Malphite counterpart. He is 800 gold ahead of him right now. And that's fantastic news for Darius. Darius, as we've talked about before, one of those snowball champions.
Be careful there. Good roaming, especially from Braum. He's been trying to apply a little bit of map pressure, which I am enjoying quite a fair bit. Though I was talking earlier about Game Lord, about the fact that Tyrus is not able to play, and it was forcing actually Hegman into the jungle position. They did switch it up a little bit, so it seems like they are coming in hot with a different game plan this time around, at least in terms of positions. As Ika, he's going to be playing now into the Baron lane, and because of that, Mowgli's going to go from Baron lane to jungle, and Hegman is now in his main role, which is support. Not on the Alistar. He was top Alistar player in the European server for quite some time, being top up there on the leaderboards. But now Game Lord, once again, their macro is just so good. Instant roaming from Hegman and Azura to the top side to make sure they can keep that turret up and going. Futbolist tried something very similar to what happened earlier with Game Lord, but unfortunately a little bit too slow on the execution side of things. And at that stage 2, their wave clear is not the fastest, so they're struggling to really crash those waves efficiently. As Eco's still going to be good to go, going to heal up with the Honey Fruit. But that wave is once again going to crash, and an instant cleanup for Mika. They are not having the best of times.
Lanes, it seems, mean very, very little to Game Lord right now. You can see that their bot lane's in the mid. Their mid lane's in the bot, and the top lane's sticking where they're supposed to be on Ika, but they're just moving around, and they're flowing like water across the map, I think, at this stage. I'm a big fan of how this early game has gone for them, but as I said before, it's a question of can they capitalize on it? Can they actually use this advantage? They've got the early gold lead. Now translate that into dragons. Now translate that into outer tier turrets. Dragon is up. This is the objective you want.
So I just saw right now that Ronin sent a message earlier saying it was actually the second Amumu in Mobile Mayhem, and the first one was played by Ika of Gamelord, which means that it was a loss because it was played by Gamelord. So far it's a 0% win rate champion, so it would be cool to say potentially a dub on this Amumu as they are waiting in the bush, waiting for maybe Razor to get a little bit too close, but so far that's not going to happen. There you go, great engage.
There's the Curse of the Sand Mummy as well. Will be stunning up 4 of them. Azure kept on the outside. In goes the Rakan. Gets a brilliant charm on the sidelines. A lot of damage, but no kills found just yet. Still, the Akali tries to make something happen. First blood goes over to the Darius, and they're starting to turn it around. Futbolist are falling. 2 players go down. Only 1 traded back onto Mowgli. That is the jungler for Gamelord, so they might not be able to go for this Drake, but that's beautiful. 3 kills actually found for Gamelord.
That was fantastic at the start for Futbolist. The 4-man Curse of the Sad Mummy from Sweest, and then the follow-up was rather strong, but they got really spread, and at the end, Gamelord did so much good work. Especially, I was seeing that Elpis try to bite down more than he could actually chew. He tried to go for a 1v3 push, and with Braum against you, that's going to result in a burst and also a stun to come out, and he was not able to make that happen for his team. If he adds an extra, especially P-Gas to follow up on that, I think he could have got himself a triple kill. It was just a little bit too close for Elpis in this one, though. Drake was not taken over whatsoever because it was a rather close fight in terms of overall damage, not in terms of kills. So now that Gamelord, they're going to spot it out. They did have a little bit of a sweeper, but they got spotted away. But here, what is going to be the call? It is only a Cloud Drake, not Infernal. So it seems like we are going to be seeing some cross-mapping come in overall from Futbolist, and they are willing to give away this Drake for free.
When you know that you're weaker in the fight, you go for these cross-map objectives. Try and get whatever you can. Push that wave into the top lane. Now start to move your attention down towards this Herald. And it kind of makes sense with the timing. You've got Ika down on the bot side as well, who can't have a presence into this next fight, but they are just going to base. So they're not going to put that pressure on Herald, and so their cross-map presence is assuaged.
I've poked out pretty heavily in mid. Hegman and Azura doing some good old handiwork. And we were talking about the Ezreal, you know, not being too much of a fan of it, which I'm going to stick to my guns. I'm not a huge fan of it, but there is some strict positive to having him here, especially by the insane mobility he has very early on into the fight. You can just on the whim, if he executes it properly, it's going to be rather hard to react to it, but you can get out of the Curse of the Sad Mummy and also from the unstoppable force of the Malphite if you are very quick on your reaction time, which could be possible, and that is the main reason why Azure was able to survive that last encounter, because he was able to peel and move back to safety rather quickly, but then the damage started to go very heavily in their favor, and Futbolist fell down. So Azure can bring some really good impact and influence to this fight, but it's going to require to be extremely efficient on your mobility, as Razor's going to get dived upon by Rekna.
There's not really too much damage coming through, though, from the Akali. In goes the package to try and sail in towards the backlines. In comes the charm from the Rakan, and there's the first kill onto the Wukong. They get the unstoppable force down over onto Azure as well, and that is one immobile Ezreal left lacking there with the flash burnt and really nothing to show for it. The question is, can Ika get this turret? I just don't think so at the moment, with Elpis moving down to challenge for it. The Rift Herald as well getting picked.
That's going to be an easy pickup for them overall. It's actually really even between them. The fight seemed to go in favor of Futbolist, at least from now. The last fight did not really go in favor of Futbolist. It was actually won by Gamelord. But Gamelord, their tower control has been rather strong. And because of this being rather close between these two teams, there's only a 200 to 300 gold difference. It is really nothing to be sniffed at. And I think these two teams are playing rather well. Sure, it's a different play style for both of these squads, but it's working out pretty good for both of them. So they're going to stick to their guns and hopefully make this game go in their favor. But Gamelord here, I think that just by how they've been playing this early game stage, this is some of the best playstyle I've seen of Gamelord in the past 2 weeks. So already there is some improvement. There's been some change, some well-needed change, and it is working out actually okay for them because they're not falling behind heavily as they usually do. Especially with an Infernal Drake about to spawn very soon. They should transfer it for if possible, but mid lane is going to get heavily focused upon.
But with that last fight, they've lost the gold lead that they had. And if they keep going for dives under tower, I'm not too sure if that's going to continue to slide on forwards. Just looking at the waves, the bot lane at the moment looking pretty steady on that side of the map, so not too much pressure. They sent Mowgli down to try and put a little bit more over towards that bot side and not really threatening this mid lane. You've got the wave clear from both the Akali and the Corki, so not really any way that they're going to be able to open that door with the waves now disappearing. The bases can come through. And Game Lord, they're wasting their time here.
Checking out also the itemization, we're going to see the Samu going for a rather tanky build set. He is not going to go for too much damage into this one. He's going to try and build some, of course, some AP attempts on top of it, I do believe at least. But he's just going to be there to try and create the initiation. And he's here just to set up purely for Elpis and Rekna to do the damage. When you have two damage champions such as a Corki and an Akali, really the Amumu doesn't have to do that much work. And I think that him going for the tanky route is perfectly okay, despite it being an AP Malphite, which he's going to be a one-hit wonder. Go for the engage on the ulti, and that's all you're going to do, which I'm not fully agreeing with, because you are going for a triple AD composition for Game Lord. So going for some extra armor into your base build here, going hybrid with some AP and armor, I think would be the perfect play for Caglian to stay relevant for a long period of a fight.
Just looking at the gold numbers right now, Darius, a sleeper so far in this game, has 1 kill on the board, but has 7.3 gold right now. 7.3k gold, sorry, not 7.3. That would be a little bit less impressive, but he's managed to get that. The Spirit Visage has the Phage and the Nash Tooth as well. Going for that Triforce. Over in the mid lane, he's right on the front line of this fight as well. And the Akali's finding out all about it. The redemption comes through and the bleed continues as Ika continues to put that pressure on to those mid waves, but the wave clear can come through. Unstoppable Force available from Caglian as the package splits the fight over on the other side there. The Malphite caught out unawares, has to Unstoppable Force into the middle of it. The barrier from Azure, the flash away, and that's going to seal the deal onto the first kill. Ika looks to try and find anything, and he's able to come up trumps here. Goes for the slam down dunk on Caglian, and it's the Orianna Ball to finish the job. Futbolist looking for Elpis to find anything, but all 5 of Game Lord are alive, and all 5 of them will turn their attention to that Drake, while 2 of them are still left in the mid lane, and out they go with the Valkyrie, trying to burn the damage, and it will be Ezreal to get that final kill. Azure puts the final nail in the coffin, and that's an ace for Game Lord.
I see everything here. Curse of the Sad Mummy and also the Unstoppable Force from Caglian was just used so late upon that engage. And we talked about it. Azure, he can just blink out and he got engaged upon by the Unstoppable Force. There was no follow-up on the Curse of the Sad Mummy. It was way too late from Sweest. And he was just able to blink to safety, remained rather safe, and it was all set in stone from there on out. Futbolist, they have such a good tool set in terms of engage potential, and yet they're not using it to its full extent, which is very surprising to me. So Futbolist going to have to work on that quite a bit, and because the wombo combo are what is going to be giving you potentially the little bit of an upper hand in those fights. But Game Lord too, I gotta say, especially you're looking at this one, Hegman has been doing so much work with those Unbreakable, able to keep his carries alive. And that is definitely how Hegman should be put. I do not like seeing Hegman in jungle. He still has a sick jungle, but his support is just way above what's happening for the rest. Oh, there.
Oh, yeah. Caglian, no. There's no way you get away from that. Even burns the Unstoppable Force on that one for the Malphite, so will be on cooldown for the next couple of seconds. Over on the other side of the map, though, Razor goes golden. Redemption to try and see them alive. The ultimate comes through from the Akali, and there comes the Cyclone as well from the Wukong. Has the second activation, but won't even need it. Gets the knock up onto Rakan, and Game Lord continue to impress across the map, and they put pressure in the mid as well.
They like to win with unusual picks. Curse of the Sad Mummy, perfectly done, but he's not going to find any kills off of it. Hegman just barely survives by the skin of his teeth, so he's going to be set and good to go. But yeah, overall, Azure, we said it. The only match that has been won by Game Lord has been with Seraphine. An unusual draft, and here they go for a champion that is not played all that much in a competitive level, and is working out. So Game Lord seem like they're the pros of a intriguing and out of the ordinary pickups, which I do like to see. And the execution part of things for Azure have been rather strong so far. He's standing on a KD of 5-in-1. He's looking set with almost 10,000 gold going his way. So this is just a drafters. The win condition is hard to execute, but Game Lord are playing it so well, and their map pressure too. They got 2 towers in bot, 1 tower in mid, and 1 tower in top lane. So they just got so much jungle presence here. They can roam wherever the hell they want, and they could make it work out perfectly. As Game Lord now making their way forward towards Rekna. As Darius, Ika in a pretty good spot.
They are going to get a little bit of a drop there, but they are going to disengage. Look at the amount of magic resist on the front line right now for Game Lord. You've got a Spirit Visage, a Spectral Cowl, and a Negatron Cloak on both Darius and Braum. Akali does nothing. That's insane. Wukong goes in, triple knock up with a Cyclone, forces Futbolist to fade away, and there's the double bounce house that we love to see, the Shockwave to bring them back into the fight, the Unstoppable Force to try and pick up some pieces. They will actually be able to take down the Wukong on the back, but they trade 1 for 1, and the Malphite soon to follow. A beautiful turnaround there for Game Lord to just engage, get what they came for, take those turrets, and this is the road to victory. This is what they've been looking for all this time, Max.
Those shockwaves of Razor have been clinical from start to finish, and this might just be actually the finishing moments. I mean, they've still got a decent... Oh, actually, that's a very small wave now. They check it out. Though Mumi's going to go for the Curse of the Sad Mummy. He's going to get himself a 4-man stun.
Look at that, though. The front line doing wonders there against this Akali. Nothing really to be done. However, they have earned themselves some precious seconds. Kaglian and Pygus both going to be respawning here, so they have another chance into the fight.
Damn, Futbolist not giving up just yet. They should be good, but unfortunately the comeback potential of their composition is not the best, because when you're at state, when you're using your engaged kit as a peeling tool, that's where you know that you're really, really far behind, and Futbolist have not been able to make things work for them so far. Especially looking at the gold lead, there's such a big discrepancy between these two teams. It is not really fun to see that happen for them. Game Lord are up to a juicy 14,000 gold lead, looking towards 15,000 currently. And that is the state of the game in 50 minutes, where it's very rare to see a comeback happen with a gold lead that's over 10,000. It's happened a few times, but it is so hard to execute. It requires so much map control, but at the end, Futbolists are just not able to make it happen as of right now. And especially Kaglian, now that your Malphite just can't engage with that unstoppable force, what's his role in these fights? He doesn't have many, unfortunately, because he just buys a little bit of breathing space for his team, but because there's no damage to follow up, he loses complete relevancy in these fights.
It's very difficult. It's very difficult to play from the back foot, and especially against a Darius, which is what we said even right at the start of the day. If you let a Darius get this far ahead, it's almost impossible to try and claw it back. They're just going to be picking up these objectives, winning these fights time and time again. And when you have so much magic resist, your win condition in these fights, the Akali popping off, just won't happen. Like, there's no way that they're going to be able to burn down the Darius and the Braum. You have to focus one or the other. And I mean, even in the midst of that, you have to focus Azure, really, in the middle of the fight. He's 8-1-0 on this Ezreal. He's absolutely insane.
They can't put him down. There's no way. He's just got too much mobility. The Blink has such a short cooldown and could just make wherever he wants a reality. Oh, no, he misses the ultimate for Kage, and that's a big F in the chat.
Oh, dear. That turret is not long for this world. And again, the second opening now towards the Nexus has been found. The minion gets shown what's what by Futbolist, but the rest of the Game Lord's not quite so unlucky there. A nice push on the top side to give them some breathing room, force Game Lord away, but they might just go for Baron.
Yeah, come on, Game Lord. You guys should know that Ragnar already went back to base. Like, that's a given. Though they're going to try and take the fight. They're a little bit split between a rock and a hard place, so they've got to try and regroup, especially knowing that Azura's not there. Redemption used for no big reason whatsoever, but Eco on the front line might be getting melted down if he's not careful enough, but that's going to be Elpis using his packs to make it back to safety. And that's already another bit of the resources of Futbolist going straight down the drain. And despite them not being full team, this is just Futbolist in fear moving backwards.
I think it was just about to time out for Elpis, so he was just going to use it.
Oh, yeah, maybe, yeah.
For almost anything. Look at that damage coming through from the Orianna. My goodness me. We're talking a lot about the other champions, but 409 on Orianna with a Seraph's Embrace and the Leandries, that's a lot of damage that's getting thrown your way, and I didn't even talk about the Rabadon's death cap that's sat there in the back of the inventory. Baron getting started up, and Futbolist really can't contest.
Nothing they can do. They go picked up by Azure. The smite is not going to be enough for that one. Azure just does way too much damage at this stage. Those pokes are just so hard to deal with. And to the mid lane, Elpis got to be careful. He's going to get pushed upon. Elpis, oh, that would have hit. He would have been mid HP and 1-1, but oh my god, that damage though from the ulti. Okay, he's smurfing. Azure is absolutely smurfing on this one.
It's insane. It's insane. You get an Ezreal ahead, again, such a fantastic amount of poke damage that can just be chunked out so consistently. Redemption on the back to try and zone them away, but the Unstoppable Force lands onto 2. It's not going to phase them, however. They just take the turret and move on forwards. They keep trucking. The minions pushing in from the mid lane. There goes the Corki from the mid. They will get the Unstoppable over onto the Orianna. Akali can't do anything. The Curse of the Sad Mummy trying to hold the line for now, and it's just Kaglian who stands alive, but he's getting dived on the fountain, and the Nexus falls. It's going to be Game Lord to win their first game of this tournament, Max, and they do it in style.
Finally, seems like the training that's been happening behind the scenes for the past 2 weeks has been paying off in style. And Futbolist, which Futbolist, you know, they're a team that also has been improving a lot as of recently, but it seemed like Game Lord were just too damn good on this one, and especially I think that the MVP just has to go fully in favor of Azure. He was just playing